Good morning, everybody. You are back for an emergency episode of Awoken with Aulden. We are waking up this morning. Really, I woke up this morning and saw the breaking news overnight, which is our main topic of this little emergency episode, is that the United States is claiming that Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has been captured, is the quote, and is currently being flown to New York to face criminal charges. Attorney General Pam Bondi has released the indictment against Maduro and his wife, Celia Gomez, I believe her name is, and is alleging these claims to be the narco terrorism that we've seen, the conspiracy for cocaine distribution, and all that good stuff that the administration has been pushing publicly against him for the past several months now. Before we get into it, wanting to remind you, if it's your first time on the live stream or on the channel, please like and subscribe to the video as we can continue bringing you emergency geopolitical coverage and election coverage as we continue. So today is Saturday. It's our first ever Saturday stream of the program, Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, our first stream of the new calendar year, midterm year. Last time that we were together, we discussed my predictions for this calendar year. Go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Some bold predictions. This was not one of them, I will say. Made some predictions about other heads of states, but not about Venezuela. We have talked about Venezuela before, though. If you go back to the national security strategy episode, when I brought on my friend Alex to discuss it, we had a whole little segment about the Trump coronary and the emphasis on the Western Hemisphere, which this is why Trump has said frequently that he wants Canada to be the 51st state, why he wants to purchase Greenland, why he's made some comments against the lady in Mexico, the president in Mexico, telling her kind of get her act together, and why the public pressure against Venezuela has been so aggressive recently, and as well, even in a friendly manner, helping out the president of Argentina get elected a couple months ago. So we saw this in the national security strategy. It is a big priority for the admin, at least for the president, to want the Western Hemisphere pretty well in our pockets. And also the first YouTube episode that I released was on a much more in-depth analysis of the history of Venezuela and the risk of regime change. I believe that was back in October or late September or something like that we discussed it. However, wanting to do a quick little recap of what we've seen this year and what has happened this year for Venezuela is the United States government does not recognize Maduro as the legitimate leader following the 2024 elections over there. That really sets the stage for the 2025 campaign against him, the rhetoric, and then you have these, we've seen for the past several months now, these narco terrorist boats being blown up into pieces. The admin almost got in a little trouble about the double tap against that one boat. So for the past several months, at least 25 of these separate boats have been blown up. And even a more escalation on the day that Alex and I talked about the national security strategy. You had the first oil tanker that was seized heading to Iran. I believe a few other oil tankers were seized in the future following that first one, and up to a couple days ago. This wasn't as reported as much. However, I believe on New Year's Eve, or whenever the president met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well, the thing that got most of the attention was the comments about Iran and the Middle East, but he also did mention that I believe it was some kind of energy infrastructure or something like that in Venezuela that was bombed. So this wasn't, what happened overnight was not the first land attack necessarily against Venezuela. Looking now, let's go into last night. Overnight, when we were all sleeping, we see these attacks against Caracas, where the capital city is, where the country is located. Looks like some pretty aggressive and severe bombing, maybe not catastrophic, but definitely enough to produce enough chaos and kind of make everyone go all over the place to where communication is screwed up. It seemed like, saw reports that the president, the president of Venezuela, not ours, and his wife were dragged out of the bedroom. Others are saying that he was out driving around. We know that yesterday there was a Chinese delegation in Venezuela to discuss maybe relations or security matters, whatever. So it seemed to be a surprise to the Maduro regime. Now, we don't absolutely know what the future of Venezuela looks like. As I mentioned in the Venezuela episode I did, the bigger breakdown is that it seems that that lady who, Machado, or whoever won the Nobel Peace Prize, that seems to be the clear successor. That's what at least the Western governments would prefer to be in there. She made the comments about how she dedicates the award to the president of the United States himself. She's seen as the biggest freedom fighter for Venezuela, opposed the election results, etc. It seems like that is kind of the way to go, at least what they might try to do. But we also don't know. The regime is definitely on life support right now, but we can't really say it's dead immediately yet, because maybe there's a power vacuum, maybe some other generals to try fill in. It doesn't, now losing, if Maduro is out of the country and heading up a trial in New York City, that is a pretty big deal. There is a leadership lack of continuity and a leadership crisis, absolutely, in Venezuela, which is now this gives the civilian population their chance potentially to rise up and finish the job pretty much. We also know the last couple months, the president confirmed that CIA operations or CIA personnel have been in Venezuela conducting operations over there. So it's been a massive buildup the past couple months, and it really seemed to have coronated last night. So we are going to read some statements from some people in the federal government, particularly the president's statement. And I believe in about 5 minutes, the president is supposed to go live from Mar-a-Lago. So we will get you into that as well. However, a lot of breaking news going on at the moment. Want to make sure that my screen is able to be shared with you. And I believe that should be good. Stage. Okay. All right, great. Here, I do want this one, though. All right, perfect. Okay, so we're going to go through some tweets here for the next few minutes. Okay, and this would confirm, so this image that you're seeing right now, if this is true, it would confirm the reporting that he was dragged out of the bedroom with his wife, that they were asleep in their private residence, etc. Okay, so here is the official statement that J.D. Vance shared of the president on Truth Social. Quote, from Donald Trump, quote, the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolás Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay. And here, let's go Pam Bondi, because she has the indictment that was unsealed. So again, if you're just joining in, the president of Venezuela, captured overnight, claims to have been at least. Okay, so here is, we'll read the statement from Pam Bondi first. Quote, Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. Nicolás Maduro has been charged with terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices against the United States. They will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil and American courts. On behalf of the entire U.S. DOJ, Department of Justice, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people. And a huge thank you to our brave military who conducted the incredible and highly successful mission to capture these two alleged international narco traffickers. Here we have about a minute, so we'll look at this very quickly. Yeah, I'm not a robot. If it's super long, we'll go straight to the president. Okay, yeah, we're not going to read 25 pages right now. So let's we'll go back. Now let's go to the White House official page. Yeah, looks like they're about to go live too. So let's see if the president provides any new details or stuff that can help us in our analysis. Okay. Great. So I know not the most expected news. It seemed like Maduro was becoming clear he was on borrowed time in some capacity, particularly with it's almost like you just kind of look at the propaganda he tried down there, the dancing, the large amount of dancing he did to his own music videos of the no war. He started speaking in English in particular semi-frequently to hopefully encourage youth population within the United States to maybe come out larger against any military intervention. But I just feel like the South America is viewed much differently in terms of war and battles than the Middle East, which is really what was his downfall, is that he wasn't on the other side of the world with a large ocean to protect him. And it was a pretty, at least if everything they're saying is true, and it was this quick little operation to where you were able to enter and then leave quite quickly, do what they needed to collapse, or at least severely fracture the regime fast. And then it seems like there's not going to be a huge amount of the population that is going to be throwing a fit. Maybe they did it on a Friday night also. So while it is big for people that follow politics and the media, on a weekend we'll know. But the most of the it's not like on a Tuesday afternoon when everyone's at work, when everyone's together. A lot of people are still traveling for the holiday season, trying to get back to their cities of work, following the Christmas holiday and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So this is a little bit different of a situation for you. Let's here. I will start another tab, and we can, while we're waiting for the president, we can maybe look at some other tweets while we're holding off for a moment. And then what we'll do is once the White House, once the president begins his talk, we'll just go right back to that other tab. Let's just do that for now. So here seems to be not a recent statement, so we won't read that. That's from last July. Because this photo seems to be different. Because I believe in the other photo, didn't he have like white pajama pants on that we showed earlier? So it's really tough to know what to believe anymore nowadays. And also going back to the reporting, we saw that Maduro reports that he said, "Hey, I'm just going to quit, or I'll give you everything you want. Just please don't overcome and overthrow me." And that's when the president said, "We don't F around," or he doesn't want to F around with the United States. That's why he is saying that. Yeah, add the Hodge to one. So if we can arrest a foreign country's leader in the middle of the night, can we do the same thing to criminals in our own damn country now? That's a good point. CBS is reporting that Delta Force, America's top Special Mission Unit capturing Maduro. Maduro captured by Army's Delta Force, sources say. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro was captured early Saturday morning by members of Delta Force, the U.S. military's top special mission unit, U.S. officials told CBS News. The elite Delta Force was also responsible for the 2019 mission that killed former Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. If you have a comment, please leave a comment. I'll try to answer any questions or engage with you during this time as we wait for the president to begin his remarks. Again, if you're just joining, we are doing live breaking coverage of the operation overnight in Caracas, the capital city of Venezuela. Right now, we're just doing some reaction of what people are saying. Oh, also, so something that is, maybe maybe they're starting. Nope, still not going. However, did want to bring up, while we have a few minutes, ooh, yikes, this doesn't look great, but also doesn't look real. So, look, speaking about Iran for a moment, is that ever since New Year's Day, maybe even New Year's Eve, a couple of days before that, these protests have begun in smaller cities inside of the Islamic Republic. Excuse me. Reports indicating that they're targeting police stations and trying to acquire weapons. However, the amount and number of protesters does not seem to be enough to where the regime is at serious risk of collapsing. And again, it's the Iranian maximum pressure campaign. I talked about that a lot the other night, is that seems to keep growing and growing. And there is risk of regime change over there, potentially in 2026. And I think this is a good point from Bowtied Ranger. So I mentioned this during the Venezuela episode, is that there's a large amount of the southern border wall is where most of these drugs are entering through, and through Mexico. The cartels, we hear about the cartels all the time. And about all of the drugs that are coming through the southern border. That's what we hear about all the time, and nothing has, no regime change attempt over there. So again, if this press conference doesn't begin in the next couple of minutes, it's still not live. Wanting to try and get you some of the coverage about what the president is going to say. I know they like to take a little time, but also I don't want this stream to be too particularly long. It is an emergency coverage. And something, so going back to the Trump, okay, great question from at Andre Chang 771. Has there been any political statement from Venezuela's international allies such as China, Iran, or Russia? Let's do a little searching about what those guys are saying. I think Russia would probably be the first to maybe say, and especially with the Chinese being right there. Okay, we're going to switch to this tab instead. It's a Hell article from talking about what Russia is thinking about the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, and we'll read it in full here, as long as it's not, yeah, it's not a book. Russia is offering stark criticism of the U.S. military attack on Venezuela, which resulted in the capture of President Nicolás Maduro. Security Council. This morning, the United States carried out an act of aggression against Venezuela. This causes deep concern, pragmatism over a willingness to build relations based on trust and predictability, Russian officials wrote, nearly 5 years into the nation's own war with Ukraine. Russia, a key ally of the Maduro regime, said it was crucial to prevent further escalation and a focus on finding a way out through dialogue. We proceed understanding that all parties who may have claims against one another should seek solutions through dialogue-based approaches. We are ready to support them in this, the ministry said. Latin America must remain a zone of peace as it declared itself in 2014. Any destructive Venezuelan people and our support for the cause of its Bolivarian leadership aimed at disease in Caracas, Venezuela's capital city, was operating normally, and it had no information about Russian. Yeah, it's going a little stuck. Attorney General Pam Bondi says Maduro has been faced the full wrath of American justice on American soil and American courts. Maduro has been in power since 2013. The nation's communications ministry said in a statement that he had signed a declaration of emergency urging all social and political forces in the country to activate mobilization plans and repudiate the attack from the U.S. The attack will almost certainly heighten tensions between the U.S. and Russia. Just this week, Trump held a meeting in Mar-a-Lago with Ukraine President Zelensky to discuss a 20-point peace plan. He also spoke on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has widely been seen as an obstacle to settling the war. Okay, so we will let's check on that. We're still waiting for the president. I'm not wanting to wait much longer, though, because he's just going to say whatever he's going to say, to be honest. So, statement from at Gooberman1, statement from Russia's press secretary for foreign affairs. Here, I'll go ahead and post that link in the chat so you guys can check out that guy as well. Let's just go back to Twitter for another moment. Just do a little home refresh, see what people are saying. It does seem to be kind of slow, and it seems like a lot of people are trying to check out what is going on. Got some morning tea with me. Oh, man. Yeah, so it's been about 20 minutes after the president said there'd be the conference at Mar-a-Lago. This seems to be a mini statement from the president this morning. Let's get out of that. No, I don't want that. Just want to listen to what he's saying.
Can you tell us where Maduro and his wife are right this second?
Well, they'll be heading to New York. You know, they were indicted in New York, and also.
So were they taken to a ship first, and then?
Yes, to Iwo Jima. They were on a ship, but they'll be heading into New York. The helicopters took them out, and they went by helicopter. A nice flight. I'm sure they loved it. But they've killed a lot of people. Remember that they killed a lot of people, and
a lot of Americans.
Even people in their own country. They killed a lot of people to maintain power. He's a very vicious person.
Can you tell us where Maduro and his wife are right this second?
Well, they'll be heading to New York.
Okay, that's a repeat of the same video. Okay, here's a video of an alleged Venezuelan live streamer recording the exact moment that they were attacked.
Y después van hacia arriba, ¿sí? Si es por parte de su madre o parte... boludo, se cortó la luz.
That seems like bad
Y después van
for the Venezuelan regime. So, and while I kind of, I don't want to wait, so I'll just do a quick little, I'll go back to just me, and you can probably catch the president's remarks on your own at this rate. It's just taking a little while. So Right. So what are some immediate consequences going to be of this? Well, we'll have to see what like officially happens with the regime, see who fills that power vacuum, what the result of that looks like, what there are consequences of black gold. Essentially, that's what a lot of people are suspecting. The main reason that this happened, because as we mentioned, we know Mexico has a lot more problems with the drugs than Venezuela in particular. Not that Venezuela isn't innocent by any means in that regard. It's that Mexico, it's a larger nation. There's more stronger organized cartels, and they're all independent by themselves to where that they don't have to follow one regime or the other. They can proceed how they really care, because the sovereign Mexican government is not in any way, shape, or form to stop them. So, but there is a large amount of black gold in Caracas and the cities around the capital city. And we'll just have to kind of see, like, maybe this can bring some relief to energy prices. We know the president, when he was elected around 13, 14 months ago, when he was inaugurated around 11 and a half months ago now, is one of the core campaign deals was energy and drill, baby, drill. Well, now if you can really grab a great pulse on the oil, maybe you can provide some relief in energy prices and manufacturing and other related industries in the United States for the people, as all over the country energy prices are continuing to rise, particularly back where I'm born and raised. They're going up not just a little bit, they're becoming a massive problem to where it's, in some houses it can match rent prices, and that's being conserving energy and being smart and not just keeping your heater on all day and stuff like that. So we'll wait maybe a couple more minutes for the president to begin this. Maybe there's something else that he is wanting to discuss that someone else is live streaming about. But yeah, I wanted to keep this one a little short. We're probably around 40 minutes, something like that now. So yeah, we are. Let's just go ahead and wrap this emergency episode up. Didn't want to keep you too long. Check out I'm sure there will be highlights of the president's address at Mar-a-Lago to follow in the next few days. However, if you have any more questions, please leave a comment in the video. Would love to answer you. And you have been awoken with Aulden. Thank you very much for watching, and we will probably be back with you Wednesday, assuming that there won't be any national breaking emergency news, and we'll get back with you and maybe do a little recap about this. All right, guys, thank you very much, and have a wonderful Saturday.